Hey, what's going on? Can you guys hear me all right? You guys see all right? Cool. Everybody's seeing? Solid. All right. So, I thought we'd do something a little bit different for St. Patrick's Day. Hit 6,000 subscribers. I didn't plan on doing a live stream or anything like that, but, fuck it. I figure we'll do something for St. Patrick's Day before, Madman gets too trashed and can't see what he's doing. But what we're going to focus on today, because I've had some people say, hey, I want to learn how to draw, I want to do some stuff, and I had someone in recently ask me how to do like a greaser skull, because you guys know I do a lot of those. And so I thought, fuck it, try something different, do an actual live stream, of this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually start with the sketching process and then just go all the way through and, even do the coloring and the whole bit. Damn, we already got 40 people watching. I'll be damned. Oh, and by the way, for my English fans from Britain, Newcastle Brown. I got a couple of those left over from last night. All right, let's see what we can do. Got to get the essentials here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to sketch it out in front of you guys, and then I'll show you some inking, some old school brush and ink. Let me go ahead and show you what I'm talking about here. Come on. There we go. All right, so we got my brush. It's my Winsor Newton Series 7 Zero brush, quite expensive. Spared no expense. And I've got my super black Speedball Black India ink. So that's what I'm going to be using for the outlining of it. Thanks for the hair compliment. Appreciate it, man. Now, here's another thing. I'm not too used to like sitting at a desk and actually drawing and doing this kind of stuff. I like usually to sit on my lap on the bed or on the floor in a corner somewhere. I'm a little unconventional with that, so hopefully this comes out okay. We'll see what happens, Thank you. All is well. And hopefully God continues to bless. Or something like that. Oh, get back here. Hopefully everybody's having a good St. Patty's Day, staying out of trouble, or staying out as much as you can. All right, let me go ahead and pull this up so I can kind of see what I'm doing here. Put that over here. Yeah, exactly. Hey, thanks. I like that too, huh? Got plenty of them. Need to get some more. So I'm gonna do something real simple for me, real easy. It's the first time I've ever done like a live stream while drawing. So see how this goes. Yeah, that's the spirit. Held up with a leg cast, full leg cast, still drinking and holding his own. I dig it, man. Cool. All right, so let's go ahead and get started, huh? All right, got my pencil sharpened, got my eraser, because God knows I'm probably going to need it. What do I plan on drawing? I'm going to draw a greaser skull. Maybe I'll draw some other stuff later. We'll see how this goes. Not really warmed up or anything, so we're just gonna. It's just straight off the hip, guys. You know me, straight off the hip. All right, so let's go ahead and start sketching this out a little bit. A lot of times when I have to reproduce something that I've done, I just trace what I've done before and then just re-ink it in the whole bit. But I want to kind of show a little bit about how to do it just from scratch. So let's get a point here. Start pulling in for our eye sockets. Things are subject to change, by the way, so I might erase, and I'm always a big time eraser. If something's not looking right or I'm not digging it, I will erase and restart, or just trash it and start over again. It happens too. It's whatever. See, this has got to go up more. And that's the cool thing, about doing drawings, guys, is nothing's ever really the same, It might look similar, but it's never going to turn out the same. That's kind of a nice touch with the American flag in the background. I might be able to do something like that. Hey, how cool is this? Sitting with the madman, drinking beer, drawing, and the whole bit. Oh, I love it. Yeah, we'll see where the night goes, man. So let's kind of go ahead and get the nose socket in here. And see, that's the cool thing about skulls is nothing has to be super straight or even looking because they're all mangled up anyway. Chips and cracks, and that's why skulls are some of the easier things to draw. Because you really don't, there's really not a whole lot expected out of a skull. I mean, it's a skull, Fucker's dead. That sounds terrible, doesn't it? Also, one of my methods is when I sketch, unlike a lot of like comic artists, they like to get every little bit of sketching in and then start doing their inking. So like they kind of know where each piece is going to be laid out, what needs to be inked, what doesn't. See, in my head, I already know. So I'm doing both processes of sketching and then inking. So I just put down a real light framework and then just kind of go as I go. Am I Irish? Yes, indeed I am. Luck of the Irish. Cheers out there. Before anybody asked me if I have any Guinness, no, I don't like Guinness. Go figure, right? Exactly. If you mess up, always say it's a mutilated skull. There you go. There's one way of covering your ass, right? Shit. Yeah, that'll work. All right, so let's move down into the cheek socket area. Boom. So again, for all those that are just joining, hopefully you guys are having a good St. Patrick's Day and all of that shit. And here's the thing: I jump around randomly. I don't stick to any one little area or thing. I just kind of move as I go, Yeah, rock and roll Joker. That's right. I'm drinking your heritage, Dookie Brown. That's how we do it here. I just tried this stuff for the first time last night. I actually dig it a lot. Hey, what's up, Ozark? Man, how you doing? Yep, Ozark is Irish. He knows. So yeah, what we're doing right now for those that just got in is we're just laying down the framework, and then I'm going to ink it and show you guys the old school way of inking. And by no means is my inking great or perfect. I just started this year doing it, so it's still a big learning curve. All right, let's see here. Let's kind of place where I want the teeth to be. Some teeth in there. And I definitely have a bit of an unorthodox method of doing my drawings. I just kind of skip around and get the idea of what I want. Sometimes I don't even finish complete areas. I just leave them blank until I'm ready to do something more with it. Have I ever tried shading with charcoal? Yes, I've used charcoal before. As a matter of fact, I do have some charcoal sitting around somewhere. I've got all kinds of stuff. I've done pastels, watercolors, of course, marker art, which you guys know. I've even dabbled with oils. Oil painting is a whole lot different than doing like acrylics or watercolor, that's for sure. I've dabbled with a lot of stuff, even sculpting, and that's something I'd like to get into more, is get into some sculpting. And over the years, man, I've done a lot of shit, just lots of different stuff. I've always been very artistically inclined. I mean, I can watch somebody do something and go, okay, I think I can do that. I agree. Unorthodox is always the best method. All right, let's go ahead and figure out what we're gonna do with his hair here. Maybe do something similar to what the madman's got going on, or maybe I'll just do some hair like this. Do some sides, kind of do a little bit of a pomp up here. Kind of just like it's kind of combed over a little bit, like so. And then let's see, let's kind of just put some hair, because I'm going to be doing, something different with the hair as well. So I'll show you what I'm going to do with the hair. There's going to be a lot of detail work in the hair. I've been doing that a lot lately. That's been something that I've been pushing, as I've been pushing for a lot of detail work in the hair. So we'll do that, and then we'll kind of just, right in there is where we're going to have some light spots. Same thing here, like so. All right, so we've got the basic idea of what we want here. Oh, I need to go ahead and put the teeth in. See what you guys are up to. See what we got here. See, that's the thing. It's gonna be hard watching the comments and doing this when I'm trying to look back and forth. Oh yeah, gonna do some teeth. So let's get some teeth in there. Let's get some canines. Make them look kind of wild. Let's kind of just pull some lines through here. See, again, I just keep a real open method. I don't really get too sophisticated like during the sketching process. Let's make that a little bit bigger. Okay, I think that'll work for now. We'll start with that. How's that look? Look all right? Oh, let's get some lines here. Hold on. Boom, 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 boom. That'll do. Just for starters, because I already know where everything's going anyway. How's the book going? I already got another chapter done. Oh, hey, I know. How about we put a nice big piece of hair that just comes right down in the front? Because why the hell not? There we go. Look at that. Right there in the front. Put it on. If it doesn't turn out good, just put it on a shirt. Beginner's luck. Well, here's the thing. I do a lot of these different skulls. I've been really working on doing lots of different skulls. I just did a female skull recently as well, for designs and just other kind of like comic cartoon ideas. I was also thinking about putting together like posters or like canvas print, because one of the things I've been doing is I've been actually like going ahead and drawing up actual scenes, kind of like a full size comic panel, just like one panel, not like the page where it's got the different panels. So I've been kind of like just doing that as well. And maybe you guys might dig, some posters of just uh, cool fucking comics or things like that. I had somebody mention I should do a comic book, and that'd be cool to do eventually, but right now it just takes a lot of time and energy, and of course to get the damn thing published would probably cost a small fortune to get it even up and going. But it is something to look forward to down the line. Oh, I've got some shirts up with stuff like this, but be doing some more things. All right, let's go ahead and get into the inking process, my favorite. Now, inking is actually pretty difficult. It's an old school method. It's the way they used to do it back in the day. A lot of guys still do it. Of course, I saw something. I was like, oh, this is hard to do. Well, the madman's got to try it. That's how I am. So we got our water here. This is just to keep the brush wet and to remove ink a little bit. Of course, we got our napkin with ink spots and shit on it. I'm going to be starting off with my Winsor Newton Series 7 Zero brush. That's what I'm going to be doing some inking with. Also, I might be using a couple of cheap lining brushes as well, just because I kind of like how they work. But this is the one that I always take really, really good care of because it's expensive. All right, let's see. And here's the cool thing about inking. You just pour your ink. If you guys drink beer or whatever, you could take your ink and just pour it in the cap like this, and a little bit will really last you for sure. So let's go ahead and set up our shit here. Let me go ahead and pop this open. Pour some ink in. Oh, hell, that'll work. Don't really need that much. Go ahead and close it. All right, so the first thing I like to do is, you can see we got our ink right here. We've got our water right here. I've got my rag, my little paper towel right here. What I do is I start off just, getting the brush wet, because you're going to want to get it wet. Get that brush primed. And then, again, this is a little bit different for me to ink and draw in this position. It's a little stressful, but I think we can make a go of it. So let's go ahead and get some ink on that brush. Get that pencil out of the way. Not going to need it for right now. And again, I jump around randomly. And you're going to see me turning this a lot, and that's one of the ways of inking. One of the things I like to do is, when I first put ink on the brush, because I know it's going to be a little bit thick, I like to go ahead and do under areas where I know there's going to be some kind of shadow where you want your lines a little thicker. So that's a little tip for you guys. So like right there, I might go ahead and start pulling some ink right in there. And right now it doesn't seem like there's a whole lot on there, which is nice, but start with that. I honestly find inking very relaxing. It's difficult, but it's very relaxing for me. And there's some days I'm better at it than others. There's guys that ink that are still working on pulling consistent lines. It's just part of the game. So let's go ahead and kind of. Some people like to do a lot of this motion. I keep it tight. I've always just kind of been tight with my drawing, and sometimes I loosen it a bit up, depending. Let's go ahead and just kind of make that eye socket look chipped. So we're not going to make it look real nice. We're just going to go all over it. Look at that. There we go. Looks kind of chipped. like so. So a lot of you guys have seen my art or get my t-shirts and stuff like that. This is how a lot of these designs start out, just like this. Well, thank you. Thanks. Oh, yeah, yeah, Rock and Roll Joker. She loves her calligraphy. All right, let's see what we got here. Let's go ahead and pull this. Pull it here as well. But I definitely like stuff that really challenges me to get better. And, you know, I've always felt that my lining wasn't exactly the best in the world. So I figured, well, why the hell not just go ahead and jump into some hard stuff and see if I can really perfect my lining in my craft. So here we are, doing the damn thing. Move that out of the way. See, one of the things too is you want to move this around so you can get the best angle for getting your lines drawn. And there's you know, this is kind of up for debate. There'll be some like, oh, you should be able to draw, you know, a line any which way at any angle without having to move it. That's kind of just elitism, I think, in the art world. You know, you'll see a lot of guys that do inking that'll actually move it around all the time. When's my next video coming out? I don't know. I don't know. Hopefully soon enough. I'm actually doing a video. I'm working on editing a video about the James Dean jacket going up for sale and kind of my thoughts on it. So I'm going to put that up and we'll see how that goes. So that's kind of what I've been working on. I haven't been really pushing myself to do a ton of videos. I got a few things filmed. So we'll see how it all plays out. Oh, there we go. Gotta go up there. Let's bring that in there. Motorcycle or cars? Both. Love motorcycles, love cars. Thank you, I appreciate that. Do I like the Arctic Monkeys? You know, I don't remember if I've ever heard them. I might have. They've probably been on a playlist I have heard, but I can't remember anything off the top of my head. Are they kind of like more rockabilly or 60s or what's their gig? I just did. Dun, 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 dun. Let's go ahead and pull that there. See, one of the things I also like to do is, depending on how I want my light to fall, certain lines I will pull darker and thicker than others. So for instance, the bottom one on this squiggly part of hair will be a little bit darker since the light will be hitting this area a little bit more. And make alternative retro style rock and roll. I don't know. When I hear alternative, I'm not usually too hep on that. So we'll see. I'll look it up. I'll put it on the list to check out. That's for sure. Hey, thanks, man. Kind of a little bit different, huh? Normally we do kind of do a live stream with a little bit of shit talking, a little bit of fun, a little bit of shit kicking or whatever, but this time we'll do something with the art. I mean, for God's sake, that's the name of this channel, Cryptic Art. I always wanted to do a little bit more with my art anyway on here. Pull that there. Thanks. If you like it now, wait till it keeps going. It's going to get better and better and better, I promise. Well, at least I hope. It's the one thing. Sometimes the littlest thing can really screw it up. And I'm kind of like a perfectionist anyway. Like, I could make a little mistake, and if I don't feel like I can cover it up too easily, I get all pissy about it, and then I'll kind of just throw it away or whatever. But luckily, I've been doing this long enough where I know how to cover up little mistakes, because they do happen. Happy St. Patrick's Day, Jose. All right. Let's go ahead and water this out real quick. I don't like to let too much ink dry in that. I'm going to show you guys a cool little trick. See, Nuki Brown, you need a bottle opener to get this off. If you don't have a bottle opener, do like what we used to do back in the day. All us greasers used to use like a Bic lighter, just a regular lighter like so, because Bics are pretty strong, they don't break. What you do is you grab, see where the cap is, you grab it like so, and what you're going to do is you're going to take the end of that Bic lighter, and you're just going to pop it on top of your finger like so. You're going to pop it underneath the cap, and you're just going to kind of wedge it up. There we go. Old greaser trick for you. Maybe you guys have seen that before, I don't know. But I thought I'd share it anyway. What's a drunk to do when he doesn't have his bottle opener? Use his lighter. All right, back to the drawing. See, that's one of the things is I really kind of just take my time and just kind of, I look at things and then figure out what I want to attack next, and I don't rush this stuff. It's kind of therapeutic for me. What do I think of Motley Crue? I like Motley Crue. Motley Crue's cool. I like metal. I like punk rock too. Oh hell, let's go ahead and get the teeth in here. Fuck yeah, and I got some more. Well, not Nuki Browns, but I've got, I think I got some, what is it, Miller or something like that I just picked up. Do I like Stevie Ray Vaughan? Hell yeah. There we go. Oh, all right, there we go. Sometimes certain comments don't come up that should. And we try to keep the haters away as best we can, but we also want the good shit to come through as well. Have I always been a greaser? I started when I was in ninth grade of my high school. I mean, I'd always had like jeans and I had like a little leather jacket, like a little bomber jacket when I was like four. I always wore like black cowboy boots, jeans, t shirts, or lace up combat style boots. I always wore stuff like that anyway, but I didn't really know what a greaser was. I just saw 50s guys on TV, like fucking Happy Days and old TV shows. But I didn't really know what it was until high school, until I actually saw real greasers and got into it. Let's go ahead and put those lines in, like so. See, on the teeth, I'm just kind of like making them squiggly and kind of uneven, sort of like my teeth. And then I'll knock out a few of them somewhere in there. But yeah, when it goes back, when I'm going back to that, how long, when did I start being a greaser? That was like 15 years ago for me. That was before YouTube was a thing. That was before there was Facebook or Instagram or any of the social media stuff. This stuff didn't even exist back then. I mean, we had MySpace. You know what I mean? And that was like something big for us. We're like, oh, MySpace. And we didn't use MySpace like people use it now. Like, we didn't post like political shit on there. And my MySpace used to have a whole bunch of fucking like shows, like, promoters that used to do backyard shows. They used to put these flyers for like rockabilly or punk rock or psychobilly shows, and they would post them on your wall so you like knew where all the different shows were going to be, what part of the city and what city they were going to be in, what time, what bands were playing. And there was always a couple things on those. You'd always see on the bottom or somewhere on it, BYOB, bring your own beer, and security on premises, no drama at the pad. I've actually answered this question before about what my parents thought about me being a greaser. I actually answered it in the last live stream I did, but I'll go ahead and give a brief answer right now while I'm taking this little break, smoke a cigarette. Um, my old man was born in 46, so he grew up with the greaser era. He wasn't so much a greaser, but he knew what I was doing. And, I grew up in a lot of the old television shows, old music, and stuff like that. So it was kind of inevitable, I guess, that I would get into it. He wasn't really for it or against it. He didn't really care. Neither did my mom. She didn't really care either. It was whatever. They didn't like it when I started getting into trouble, when I started having like gang problems, from some of the greaser gangs that were out there that wanted to like pick at me and fuck with me, and some of the trouble and some of the people I was hanging out with. They didn't like it when it got out of hand. But other than that, they just didn't really care. See, I'm from SoCal, so there was a lot of different greaser gangs out there, and I mean it was the real deal. Some pretty tough cats, and they were pretty mean, and you couldn't just be a regular greaser like I was because I wasn't a gang member. I did hang out with a gang from my neighborhood, a greaser gang from my neighborhood, but I wasn't like with them. I wasn't one of their members. Um, but now back then, man, you could get jumped just being a greaser. Just if one of the gangs was in the area and they just happened to be looking for some trouble and they saw you and they just jump you, three, four, five at a time, just get you, boom. All right, let's go ahead and ink a few more things in. Let's kind of get started on that hair. All right. Wet the brush. Get back to it. See, one of the things I do when I draw is I chain smoke a lot. I sit there and smoke cigarettes constantly while I'm working. Figure out what my next course of action is going to be. Oh, there we go. Boom. There we go. Get the hair. And by the way, I am going to color this in with my markers as well. Got the marker bag sitting over here, so I'm not going to be doing this as like a digital scan where I have to vector it with the lines. I'm actually just going to draw this for the hell of it. All right, let's see what we can do here. There we go. See, one of the things I really dig about inking is I can pull some pretty smooth and some pretty like, you know, little bits, little lines, especially with like cross hatching and stuff, which I'll get into later on. I really dig some of the precise work I can do with this damn. I mean, look at this damn thing. Little brush. All right, let's get some more ink on that. Pull some lines in there, like so. There we go. Get that in there. Eating reefer is bad for you. I think reefer is bad for you anyway. Well, not really. I mean, it's bad for your mind. I don't smoke reefer. I don't do fucking dope. You know what I mean? These are fucking little cigarettes. I don't fucking smoke wacky tobacco. Never have. If I figure anything's gonna kill any brain cells, I'll let the alcohol do it. Thank you. Appreciate it, man. All right, let's see. What's next? Let's go ahead and get some of the hair details in there. I'll show you what I do with the hair. Been kind of developing this little technique I've been doing with the hair. Pull it nice and thick in there. These aren't being so consistent. I need to wet this brush up a little bit. And I'll show you what we do with the hair. How we give it some really good detail. There we go. That. Let's pull this line right here. Pull it in there. Yeah, if any of you guys have ever had questions on how I do these designs, well, this is how I do them. This is how they start. They all start out just like this. What subcultures did I have in my school? Oh, that was blurry. We had a little bit of everything. We had punks, metalheads. We had the emo kids, and we didn't pay no attention to them. They were kind of on their own shit. You had like your jocks and your, people that are hip hop, rap. You had your nerds, your greasers, your psychobillies. Most of us subculture guys pretty much all stay together. We had your your skaters, your crossover punk skaters, some of the punks that like to get into skateboarding. Do I think I'll ever leave the greaser style? Um, Over the years, for a while I was kind of doing it on and off, depending on work at the time and things that was going on in my life. Like I wouldn't really be greased out or anything, but I never like really fit in with any style. I always still wore like jeans and flannel shirts and chucks for the most part, shorts, things like that. But I got back into the thing full tilt, and that ain't changing. Pretty much every greaser that I've ever known that like tried to go normal, they still looked like a greaser to some extent or another. You know what I mean? It's just kind of like in the blood. What is my job? Good question. I've actually answered this before. I run a few different jobs during the summer, the spring and summer months, even into like autumn, before it starts snowing. I do tree and roof work. So I work for a friend of mine. He's got his own company, and I get out there. I do tree work and roof work. I just actually was helping him split some wood. So we had the big log splitter out there, and I was humping logs for about 4 or 5 hours, putting them in the splitter and digging them out of the pile and all that shit. Also, I teach martial arts privately. I got a couple of students that I teach, and so I do that as well. And then, of course, doing videos. Finally, I'm getting a little bit of something out of YouTube, which is kind of cool. And of course, whatever shirts I sell, I just basically pump that right back into the channel, so I can get more stuff to review or do more videos or whatever. So I do all right. I get by. Good, man. I think we all have inspirations out there. And, artists have different people who inspire them. And it's good. I think it's really good to practice multiple styles. I mean, learn a little bit of something from everybody that gets you kind of into like art. Like for me, when I was in high school, I grew up, reading like the old school Rods and Car Culture Deluxe magazine. And there was always a lot of art in there, and they featured a couple of my favorite artists, Chris Cooper. You guys know the Greaser Devil. It's because of him that I developed my own Greaser Devil. You know what I mean? And I really dug a lot of his style. So I used to practice a lot when I was in high school. I would copy and try to copy what he did, and then I would take some of the techniques and then apply them to my own stuff as well. And then Keith Wiesner was a real big inspiration to me because he used to do like a lot of hot rods, and he was a background artist. I think was he working with Disney? I want to say he was it Disney or something like that. He used to do a lot of background art, but he kind of broke out on his own. He's a greaser, hot rodder type, and he broke out on his own and started doing paintings, just acrylic paintings of hot rods and cool like 50s style, like modern, flying cars with big tail fins. And I really dug a lot of his work because it was real smooth. It was a little bit more. I don't know how it was. Still had like a cartoonish element to it, but it wasn't as bold and exaggerated as like I like. I like really bold in your face kind of stuff like Chris Cooper used to do. So those were some of my inspirations. Good to hear, Gerardo. when we were doing the thing in high school, when we were greasers, doing our thing, making our way, it was just we wanted to do it. We were just into it, and we didn't care if other people liked it or not. We just did what we wanted to do. People would make fun of us, talk shit, didn't understand it, kind of like it is today, and we didn't care. We just did it anyway. And it's funny because a lot of the people that were making fun of us started copying us. But of course, we got no credit. It's because their favorite like actor or fucking rapper was wearing a certain kind of jeans or a certain kind of shirt, and they would start copying it. And we never got any credit for it, even though we were doing it before all those guys were. But it is what it is, man. We used to just laugh about it. It was just a big joke to us anyway. We didn't give a fuck. All right, there we go. So you can get some really little precise lines in there for this stuff, which is kind of cool. I'm not the best inker in the world, but God, I sure love doing it. I can do this shit all day, every day. Yeah, I'm just going to use a bigger brush anyway to fucking doing some of those bigger spots. All right, let's go ahead and start doing some detail on the hair. Could the greasers come back as how it used to be in the glory days? It's a good question. Um, Maybe not exactly the way it was in its glory days. I mean, there's a whole new movement. There has been for a long time. The modern greaser movement. There's been a new movement for a long time now, and I don't know if you could ever really get it back to maybe how it used to be. It's been kind of commercialized over the years, to be honest with you. Like you got, a lot of these car shows and rockabilly shows, the modern rockabilly stuff and Viva and all that. And I don't know if it'll ever really get back to what it used to be, maybe. But I always keep it a mix between old school and new school. That's how I like to do it. I just like to keep a nice mix of both. Because that's how I was in high school, and that's kind of still how I am to this day. I never really lost that old school vibe with it. How about that story about the beer bottles? Oh yeah, you remember that? Yeah, here we go. Yeah, I should tell that story. Why the hell not? When we were in high school, our spot there was like a big tree and like a grassy area at that tree. It was like a big old fucking tree, big old round tree, fucking big fucking roots and limbs going up and shit. It was kind of cool because at that tree you had this this big white storage container, kind of like what you would see like off a cargo ship, with the big, you have to open the latch on it and pull the thing open, the doors creak open. And it was on the side of the wall where our big gymnasium was for, PE. And what was kind of cool is there was a gap, maybe about this much of a gap between the walls, between the wall and this container. And a lot of the guys used to drink. They would steal their old man's, Jack Daniels bottle or a couple of beers or something like that. And we used to take the bottles and we would stash them in this gap of the wall. And we put trash like papers, bags, all this stuff in front of it so you couldn't see that there were bottles back there. And we used to use those bottles just in case, like, we had to pull a weapon or something if we were highly outnumbered or somebody pulled a weapon on us or whatever. And we used to have these cats that used to like to play, like, we had people like play football, basketball. It was, our spot was like right next to the basketball blacktop. So you had cats that would come in and play, and a lot of them didn't really give a shit about us and were pretty disrespectful. And that was our spot, you know what I mean? That's where we had moved to and set up shop. So you had all these fools coming by wanting to, like, kind of invade our area and be disrespectful, and they usually mostly outnumbered us anyway. So we got this bright idea of taking these bottles. So, like, say we had like nutrition period between period like 1 and 3, or no, yeah, nutrition would have been, yeah, between 1 and 3 or 2 and 4, because it was even days, odd days kind of thing in our school. At least at that time it was. I don't know what it's like now. But what we used to do is if somebody had a class that was close to the spot during nutrition, they would go and they would grab the bottles and they would bust them on the blacktop. Or we would have somebody do it if they had PE, like right before lunch. We would have them bust the bottles on the blacktop. I mean, just these shards of glass all over the place. And we had a shit ton of bottles back there, guys. And we take these fucking bottles and just smash them, throwing bottles, smashing them. And even if, like, the custodians saw it, which they normally didn't because they weren't walking around at that time anyway, at least at that point, used to come out during lunchtime mainly. They wouldn't be able to get it picked up fast enough anyway. So, these guys would play football or like the soccer or basketball or whatever. They would come out and they would see that there's just nothing but shards of glass all over the blacktop. And they were like, well, yeah, fuck that. We're not going to be like tackling each other on this blacktop or trying to like run around on this, shards of glass. And they just left. And we would do this like every day. We would just keep bringing more bottles. We had guys digging for bottles, glass bottles and stuff at that point. And we just bring them to school and bust them on the blacktop. Every day there was shards of glass everywhere. And nobody ever pinned it to us. I mean, nobody ever was like, hey, why is all this glass here? We just acted like nothing happened. We didn't notice shit. And that basically got everybody to just leave and stop coming around. It was kind of our subtle way of saying, yeah, you're not welcome here. Go ahead, you guys want to play and be disrespectful, fine. Try playing on shards of glass. See how you fancy that. So that's what the bottle thing was all about. What did we do for fun in high school to hang out, us as friends? We did a little bit of everything. Music was a really big thing for us. So, like, the rockabilly and psychobilly stuff. We were always like, we had CD players back then. So we'd always have our headphones on, be sharing it with your buddy, be sat there like listening to music or whatever. Um, we used to do a lot of pranks, a lot of shit talking, a lot of goofing around. I mean, this is back in the early to mid 2000s. So things were a lot different as well back then. We were always pulling pranks. We were always up to something. A lot of times it was destruction of school property or whatever. But we were always up to doing something. We were always pranking each other, whether it's putting fireworks in each other's backpacks or setting a trash can on fire because it's so cold in the morning. We wanted to stay warm. We melted that fucker. Stuffing trash cans in the basketball hoops, and just like a bunch of just juvenile delinquent shit. We were always doing stuff like that. And I'm not telling you guys to do shit like that. Remember, we are living in a very different time than when I went to high school. The stuff we got away with when we were in high school, you guys probably aren't going to get away with anymore. I mean, it was kind of risky to do it back then, but fuck, with all the crap going on in schools now, don't even think about trying it. Ain't even worth it. Man, there's fucking cops and staff out there trying to give you a charge on anything. You just look at somebody wrong, they want to fucking put a charge on you for something. Stupid. Times have really changed. It used to be back in the day you could have fun, have a good time. Yeah, set fire alarms off by accident. Yeah, exactly. Just we used to do a lot of that, and then after school, we used to just like run the streets, go to the parks, hang out, go to different like places we would eat, like pizza joint, taco shops, whatever. We just go hang out and do our thing, have fun. There wasn't a whole lot for us to do anyway because we didn't have a lot of money, so we didn't really have a lot of options. We kind of just made do with what we had. And back then, I mean, again, we had cell phones, but not everybody even had a cell phone back then. We had those old Nokia brick phones that were like about this big or so. You could drop those fuckers 100 times and they'd keep ticking. But I mean, not everybody had a phone back then. So there was no texting, there was no social media, no fucking Facebook, no Snapchat and all this other stuff, man. We used to just get up to things on our own and have fun. It was all about communication and about making your own fun. We didn't live in the online world back then because there really wasn't much of one, to be honest with you. You know, when you made plans with somebody, you kept your plans. Like, okay, dude, I'll meet you at the drugstore on the corner of whatever and whatever at fucking 10 o'clock in the morning. And sure enough, you meet them there at 10 o'clock in the morning. There's none of this. Oh yeah, like something came up. Like I don't think I can make it, or that's that kind of stuff. We didn't do shit like that. We just went with it and had fun. Oh, I'm not talking shit about the little Nokia bricks. Those things were fucking amazing. I mean, you couldn't do any text messaging on them because they didn't have it back then. We didn't have text messaging. Hey, thanks, Lucas. Glad they could help, man. I'm glad you're enjoying the channel and glad I'm able to bring some kind of positivity. I try my best. Got to do this little piece of hair right here, too. Can't forget it. Put a few lines in there. Like so. This is what I've been doing to a lot of the hair on my different works, is just doing it like this because I really dig how it turns out. What do you guys think? Let's take a little break, rinse this brush out. It's not done. I still got more work I want to do on it. Smoke a cigarette. What's the craziest, most violent fight I've ever got into? I've already talked about this before in other videos. I didn't get into a lot of fights in high school. I mean, I wasn't out trying to get into fights. I mean, if somebody pushed me, I'd push him back. If somebody like punched me, I'd like punch him back. That was kind of it. Little shoving matches, pushing around, stuff like that. Everybody kind of took their turn, I guess, being bullied. Even the really big, mean, nasty, tough guys, they usually ran up against somebody who would put them in their place. So everybody kind of took it in turn, I guess. I don't think anybody was really tougher than anybody else. Me and my friends were, we weren't really about the greaser gang stuff. That's not what we were doing. We knew people that were in gangs. We were cool with some people. But for us, I mean, we cared more about going to shows and partying. You know, there was a little fight, it'd be a little fight. It wasn't like a real big deal. We didn't like rumble. Again, we weren't like the greaser gangs that were actually spilling, you know, real blood over turf and stuff. So that wasn't really our thing. Your hair is thick and you're having trouble styling it. You could try thinning it out. If you go to a barber, see if they can take some thinning shears and thin it out a bit, depending on your hair type. I don't know if it's curly or wavy or if it's just thick in general or what, but even if you don't have a barber, you can probably go out and get a pair of cheap thinning shears and just thin it out yourself, and it'll kind of help you get comb and product through it a little easier. Of course, I tried Murray's pomade. I grew up on Murray's pomade. Favorite Elvis Presley song? I got a couple. I got a couple I really dig. I really like Hound Dog. Hound Dog's always been a favorite of mine. And Jailhouse Rock was all right, but That's All Right, Mama, and My Baby Left Me. Those are some of my favorite Elvis songs. Do I like 90s rock bands? Not in general. All right, let's see here. Figure out where I want to put some of my cross hatching and lines. Definitely in here, a little bit in here. Got to put some cracks and stuff in there. Do some detail work. You just tried Murray for the first time and it's great? Yeah. When I tried Murray's, it was great too. I loved it. I still use it, still from time to time. Been doing a lot more of the lock stuff. I need to get that next video done on the next product that I got. Thank you. Appreciate it. Let's see. Let's go ahead, wet the brush a little bit. Let's do some cracks in the eyes, around the eye sockets. We don't want it to look too pretty, right? Okay, let's do some lines. Whoop. See, one of the things too about using like cheap paper, like I'm using, I'm just using like printer paper, is that the ink is wet and it tends to like buckle the paper a bit. I don't dig that, but hey, you know, it is what it is. Most of my work just goes into the scanner anyway, so it doesn't really matter. I just ink it out, erase all the crap that's in the way, all the pencil lines, put it in the scanner, and that's usually how it goes. See, we use little lines and cross hatching and stuff for a shadowing effect, because this is more comic book style that I do. Kind of just bold comic book style. Let's do a nice crack right there. Let's go ahead and put a kind of a crack in there. One in there. A few lines in there. Oh yeah, that's right. Go ahead. Drag a line right there. Now she's starting to come together, huh? Hey, I got a question for you guys. Why do you guys like to hear so many of my high school stories? Doesn't it seem like I'm kind of like just living in the past with them high school stories sometimes? A little too much? I don't mind telling them or anything, but is it that you just guys can just you can relate to it or something? I don't know. Okay, cool. I like that. Tell us what happened last week. All right, I'll tell you what happened last week real quick before I tell another high school story. I woke up, I made videos, I did art, and got some teaching in. That's what I did last week. That's usually what most of my days revolve around. Going to the store, go grocery shopping, um, fucking teaching class, doing videos, working, doing my art. It's pretty much what my weeks consist of. All right, that's actually interesting. Walk on the Wild Side said he likes my stories because nowadays high school isn't or school isn't what it used to be. Like you try to stand up for yourself, you get expelled or whatever because you get bullied, crap like that. Here's a little tip for you guys. One of the reasons we were successful in a lot of the shit we did is that we didn't get caught because we were really slick about things. Wait a minute, you missed something out of your week. Oh yeah, and then chatting with Rock and Roll Joker every day. That's right. I do that. I do that all the fucking time. Always chat with her. She's my lovey-dovey. But yeah, back to the thing. With it, when it comes to high school, the reason we were successful at so much of the shit we did is because we could keep our mouths shut, and we never made big moves. Everything was little moves, little things here and there. And I guess it didn't help. It didn't hurt that we kind of had like some security guys that were on our side that we kind of like paid off basically that would help us out. But it's one of the things you guys got to learn. Always keep your mouth shut and just get on with the damn thing. And then once it's done and over, you all can have like a little laugh amongst yourselves and then don't say nothing to like nobody about anything. See, me and my friends, we didn't snitch. We didn't talk. Like, when it came to like our greaser shit and what we were doing at our spot, we didn't say nothing to nobody. We all kept our mouths shut. It was a small, we kind of kept like the main stuff to like the main guys like DeVito, Skinny David, Big Bird, myself. We kept a lot of that shit in, and we didn't talk sometimes amongst the others that were hanging at the spot, and we would just get on with what we had to do. So you guys got to learn the fine art of keeping your mouth shut and just getting it done. You know. Let's see. Oh yeah, that's right. I was gonna black out a couple of teeth in here. make the tip of the hair darker. I'm going to get around to it. Like I told you guys, I jump around a lot. I might be started on something, I might jump to something else. It's kind of how my method works. I just jump around a lot. I did intend to pull a few lines up top, like so. See? There we go. All right. Oh, that's right. I want to pull a couple of... Actually, I'm going to do that with one of my pens. I'll show you what I'm going to do here in a minute. This right here is a very thin pen. Very, very fine point. Very similar to your brush. I like to sometimes go over and just do a few things with this. So I'm just going to kind of pull a few lines in here. Boom, boom, done that. Let's see. Do a few lines on the teeth. This is a great way of just kind of like finishing things off. I do this a lot. Throw a few lines in there. Let's see, maybe throw a few lines on the side here. Real light lines, little ones. Like so. Perfect. That'll work. Oh, wait a minute. Do a few lines in here too for shadowing effect. There we go. So now we've got the inking done. Let's go ahead and do some erasing and get some of these pencil marks out of here. Always pull your paper as tight as you can so you don't wrinkle it up. Like so. See, the paper, it's kind of pulling in and up because of the water and then the ink and stuff like that. All right, so I think we should color this in with some markers. What do you guys think? All right. Let me go ahead and cap this water for now. Move the ink out of the way. Let's see what we got with our markers here. Okay, we're going to start with some warm grays. Okay, you want to act like that? Fine. Now you don't get a voice, Jason. Want to act like that? That's what you get. All right, so let's go ahead and start with a warm gray. Start coloring it in. Glad you guys are enjoying this. Okay, gonna use warm gray, a lighter warm gray for the rest of it. Kind of blend it in there. And then I'll show you what we're gonna do. No, these are not Copics. These are Touch New. Cheap markers. They work great though. I think I got these for like, was it 35, 40 bucks off Amazon? Something like that. Let's go ahead and do a little bit more. One of the things too is the color changes as they dry. They will lighten out a little bit. How do I feel about Johnny Cash? Love Johnny Cash. Johnny Cash is always good. So we just do a little bit of quick marker work in here. Like so. Wait a minute. Oh, One Piece at a Time and The Boy Named Sue. Yeah, those are good. Those are always fun. One Piece at a Time is hilarious. All right. Now I'm going to take a Sharpie white paint marker. I'm going to do a little bit of highlighting. So put a little bit in here. These will be spots where like the light's kind of hitting a little bit more. Kind of whitens them up. Right here on the cheek area. Be right in here too. Why the hell not? And that's pretty much it. We have a greaser skull. What do you guys think? You dig it? Fucking bag. Get in there. Damn markers don't want to get in the bag. There we go. And that is a greaser skull. So from the sketching to the inking to the actual coloring, hand done. Wait a minute. There we go. Done and done. So hopefully you guys really dug this because I had fun doing it. And wait a minute. I'm hoping we can do some more of these in the near future. So would you guys like to see me do some more drawings and shit in live streams? Anything to get me on a live stream to hang out, right? They're like, fuck it, man, we don't care what you're doing. You could be on the toilet taking a shit for all we care, as long as we get to chat with you. All right, guys, I will be doing more drawings here in the near future. I thought I would give this a try, set this whole thing up, and see how it would go. So I think we can do some more of these and teach you guys a little bit more about drawing. So again, this is how a lot of the designs you see on the shirts, this is how they start, guys. Just like this. Hey, that's an idea, Rock and Roll Joker. We could do like a live stream with Big Bird. I'll have to, bring it past him and we'll see what we can do. All right, guys, I'm going to call it a night and get on with the rest of my St. Patrick's Day night. If you don't know, get a clue, get a brew, get a rock and roll tattoo. hang loose, and be safe. Thanks each and every one of you for coming out, hanging out with me while I do some drawing and show you guys a few things. Hopefully those that are into art learned something and you dug this. So till next time, catch you all later.